Welcome back to the last unit of Indian knowledge systems. In this unit, we shall be talking about the contribution of Indian knowledge systems to humanities and social sciences. Today, we shall be talking about the languages that existed in ancient India. A high antiquity of early texts and records dating back to almost 1500 to 2000 years ago will make a language classical. And from that point of view, today we shall talk about how many classical languages are there in India and how many recognized Indian languages are there in which ancient Indian literature exists. For a language to be considered classical in India, it must meet the criteria of high antiquity, number one. Number two, it should have a rich literary tradition. Number three, the original language should be distinct from its modern forms with a clear evolution over time. And the classical language and literature must be considered as a valuable heritage by generations of speakers. These classical languages have not only played a significant role in Indian literature, but also have contributed to philosophy, culture, and knowledge systems over the centuries. As of now, India officially recognizes 6 classical languages. These languages have a rich literary tradition, significant antiquity, and have had an influence in shaping the linguistic and cultural heritage of India. These 6 languages are Tamil, that is recognized in 2004, Sanskrit, recognized in 2005, Kannada, recognized in 2008, Telugu, also recognized in 2008, Malayalam, recognized in 2013, Oriya, recognized in 2014, and recently in 2024, Marathi language also has been recognized as one of the ancient Indian classical languages. Sanskrit, of course, becomes the primary mother of all these Indian languages. It is one of the classical languages of India, known for its rich literary, cultural, and religious heritage. Often referred to as the mother of all the languages, Sanskrit is the root of many modern languages and has played a crucial role in shaping India's intellectual and spiritual traditions. When we talk about the historical significance of Sanskrit, it dates back over 3000 years as is recognized till date, but I always consider that these dates are misleading. It must have been in existence for the last few thousand years ago and was the language of the ancient Indian texts, which is including the Vedas, Upanishads, Mahabharatam, Ramayanam, and numerous other scriptures, philosophical works, and scientific treatises. Its use was widespread among scholars, philosophers, and priests, making it a vital medium for transmitting knowledge across generations. When we talk about the linguistic features of Sanskrit alphabet or language, it is renowned for its precise grammar and phonetics and is governed by the rules that are laid down by the ancient grammarian Panini in his work titled as Ashtadhyayi. The language is highly structured with a complex system of verbs, nouns, and a sophisticated inflection system. This grammatical perfection has made Sanskrit a powerful tool for expressing abstract concepts and philosophical ideas. This picture that you could see on the screen is from Nandikeshwara Karika, supposed to have been written by Nandi, who sits along with Lord Shiva. He says, while doing the dance, the Nataraja, that is Shiva, had played his damru for 14 times in the end. And these 14 times when the damru was played has been recorded by him in terms of sounds as I, un, ru, ruk, I, on, I, ouch, from which the vowels of all Indian languages have evolved, followed by Hayavarat, Lan, Nyamagananam, Jhabang, Ghadadash, Jabagadadash, Kapachatatab, Chatatav, Kapai, Shasasar, Hal. And these sounds have given rise to almost all the consonantal sounds that Indian languages use. This is very well mentioned in the Nandikeshwara Karika. I un rule ruk, I on, I out, hayavarat, lan yamagananam jabhangadadash jabagadash kapa chatata kapai shasasar hal. This is how the Damru has been playing with Lord Shiva, and Nandi has recorded all these sounds, based upon which, as you could see, the Sanskrit alphabet on your right side, to and K to Gnya have been formed. When we talk about the influence on Indian culture by Sanskrit, Sanskrit of course has deeply influenced Indian culture, religion, literature and philosophy. The language is still used in Hindu rituals, classical music and dance. Many Indian classical works in science, mathematics, astronomy and medicine like Ayurveda were composed in Sanskrit, reflecting its role as a vehicle for intellectual pursuits. Modern relevance of Sanskrit. While Sanskrit is no longer a spoken language in everyday communication in India today, it still remains a key subject of study in India and around the world. Its classical literature continues to be revered and its teachings are considered timeless. Efforts to revive Sanskrit include its use in education, literature, and modern communication, keeping this classical language alive for future generations. So, in summary, Sanskrit legacy is a classical language of India is unparalleled, serving as a foundation for India's linguistic and cultural identity. The next ancient Indian language is Pali. Pali is a classical language of India closely associated with the early teachings of Buddhism. It holds a significant place in the religious and cultural history of South and Southeast Asia due to its role as the language of the Theravada Buddhist scriptures known as the Pali Canon or Tipitaka. Where Sanskrit was the language of the upper class or maybe educated class, Pali becomes its conversant Prakrit language. The historical significance of Pali language is that it emerged around 3rd century BCE as a Middle Indo-Aryan language. It is believed to have originated from the Prakrit languages spoken in northern India. Unlike Sanskrit, which was used by the Brahminical tradition, Pali was a more accessible language for common people and became the medium for preserving and disseminating the teachings of Lord Buddha in this common language. Pali is simpler in grammar and structured compared to Sanskrit. It lacks all the complex inflections that are found in Sanskrit and has a more straightforward syntax, making it easier to learn and also easier to use. Pali is primarily a literary language as it no longer is spoken in India every day today, but is preserved only and only through the Buddhist texts as we see today. You can see that it is comparatively simple. And so the significance of Pali lies in its connection to the Theravada Buddhist tradition. The Pali canon, comprising the Vinaya Pitaka, Sutta Pitaka and Abhidhamma Pitaka, is written in Pali language and contains the earliest recorded teachings of Lord Buddha. These texts are central to Theravada Buddhism, which is practiced in countries like Sri Lanka, Thailand, Myanmar, Laos and Cambodia, along with, of course, India. Pali also played a crucial role in spreading Buddhism across Asia. Monks who mastered Pali carried Buddhist teachings to various regions where the language was revered as a sacred tongue of the Buddha's words. Although Pali is no longer a spoken language, it continues to be studied by scholars, monks, and students of Buddhism. Its study is essential for understanding the original teachings of Buddha and for interpreting the early Buddhist texts. Pali is also used in religious rituals, chanting, and meditation practices in Theravada Buddhist communities. So in conclusion, Pali as a classical language of India is indispensable to the history of Buddhism. Its preservation of the Buddha's teachings has had a lasting impact on religious thought, culture, and literature in Asia. Today, Pali remains a vital link to the spiritual heritage of Buddhism, offering insights into the ancient wisdom that continues to guide millions of followers all across the world. The next ancient Indian language is Magadhi. Magadhi is a language that is spoken in Magad area. It is also known as Magadhi Prakrit. It is an ancient language that holds a significant place in the linguistic and cultural history of India. It was spoken in the region of Magadha, an ancient kingdom located in what is now called as Bihar, Jharkhand, and the parts of western Bengal. Magadhi Prakrit is believed to have evolved from the earlier forms of Prakrit languages around 6th century BCE. It was the language of the region where Lord Buddha and Lord Mahavira, the founders of Buddhism and Jainism respectively, preached their teachings. As a result, Magadhi Prakrit played a crucial role in the spread of both these major religions across the country and also nearby. The language is also associated with Maurya Empire, one of the most powerful empires in ancient India. The edicts of Emperor Ashoka, which spread the message of Buddhism across his vast empire, were inscribed in Magadhi Prakrit, making it a key language of administration as well as religion. Magadhi Prakrit, like other Prakrit languages, is derived from Sanskrit, no doubt, but is much simpler in its structure and grammar, linguistically speaking. It has a phonetic system distinct from Sanskrit, with softer sounds and a tendency to replace certain consonants with simpler ones. For instance, the Sanskrit R sound becomes E sound in Magadhi. The language is characterized by its simplicity and ease of use, which made it accessible to the common people of the time. It was primarily a spoken language, though it also had a significant literary tradition, particularly in Jain and Buddhist scriptures. Magadhi Prakrit was a language in which the earliest Buddhist and Jain scriptures were composed, as we said. The Tripitaka, the main scriptures of Theravada Buddhism, were initially written in Magadhi, and many Jain agamas were also composed in this language. As the lingua franca of the region, especially north, Magadhi was instrumental in spreading the teachings of these religions across the Indian subcontinent. Over the time, Magadhi Prakrit is supposed to have evolved into various modern Indian languages like Bengali, Assamese, Oriya, Maithili, Bhojpuri, Magahi, and so on. The direct descendant of Magadhi Prakrit is Magahi, a language still spoken today in the parts of Bihar, Jharkhand, and West Bengal. While Magadhi Prakrit is no longer in use as a spoken language, its legacy lives on in these modern languages and in the religious texts that continue to be studied and revered even today. So in conclusion, Magadhi Prakrit is a classical language that played a pivotal role in the development of Indian culture, religion, and literature. As the language of ancient Magadha, it was a key medium for the dissemination of Buddhism and Jainism, and its influence can still be seen in languages and religions traditions of India today. Thank you very much for having a patient listening. See you in the next video. Bye for now.